Salam alaikum. Malaikum salam. Buenos dias. Buenos dias. Good morning. Peace and blessings to all. Hope you guys are doing great. Another day making the donuts. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 81 degrees. The city of brotherly love. I don't know about the brotherly, but I know that's what they say. Just wanted to speak on a small topic here. Actually, it was a comment that was asked for me to speak a little bit on. I don't know the whole gist of the situation, but all that I get out of it is a couple of things. One, they are not in contact with the elder. They stopped communicating. Two, they have received some type of religious items. I do not know what, and most likely, for what I could see, they're not being attended to, not being taken care of. So the question is, what would happen to the individual that's not taking care of the things, that don't communicate with the elders and so forth and so on? I don't know about the elder part, because I would need more information to speak on that. But my question would be, why don't you communicate with your elder? Did you have a dispute? Did you have a disagreement? Was it this disagreement part of the tradition, or was it a disagreement between you and that elder outside of the tradition? Because there are two sides. One thing is things that have to do in the tradition, and another thing is outside, just dealing with one another as human beings. That's totally different. So I don't know, I can't speak upon that. As far as the religious items that you received, that you did not put what type and what, but I could say that if it's something that, which all of them do have, go through ceremonies. If it's something that you made a pact, a treaty, a tratado, some sort of oath or whatever, then that's upon you, because that's an oath that you made, a treaty that you made between yourself and whatever you have. Because you have to know, you have to learn that you have to differentiate things from the living and the spiritual. You have to differentiate. I don't know if you have lost interest, or what you have gotten in the past, you haven't seen no betterment, no growth. I do not know. There's a lot of things in play when we talk about these type of things, because it's not only something that has to do with whatever you receive, but it also has to do with yourself. What are you doing? What have you been doing? Have you checked yourself and looked at within what's going on with you, and so forth and so on? Give me 1 second, guys. 1 second. 1 second. Now I'm gonna take it to Palo, because it's the only thing that I could speak a little on, not much, just a little. If I received something from Nkisi Malongo, and let's take it to an Nkuyo, to an Nganga of that sort, I made an oath, I made a treaty between me and that spirit. And those treaties consist of many things. You understand? Dependent of what type of treaty you made with that spirit is how you would maneuver and decide or do whatever you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do. But I understand that in a lot of these treaties, especially when you have an Nganga, this is for life. When you get initiated, it's for life. And in Nkisi Malongo, you get initiated, and that's it. You're initiated. There is no turning back. You can say to yourself, I'm not working this no more. That's upon you. I'm not I don't want to deal with this. Okay, that's fine. You know, if you, that's your prerogative. You know, whatever repercussions you get, it'll be upon you. I mean, you know, there's nothing that anybody else could do for you but yourself. Because these are certain oaths and certain things that you took when you got in, before you even got initiated. They asked you certain things. They told you certain things, certain rules, you know, and you agreed upon it. And once you agreed upon it in that room, you're not agreeing just with the tata or yaya. You're agreeing with the spirits also that are there. And that's what we have to comprehend and understand. So whether you practice it, whether you don't do nothing with it, whatever, that's upon you. If you made a treaty, like I just finished saying, I'm sorry, regurgitating it again, that's between you and that spirit or spirits, depending on what you have. So you're not neglecting your things, you're neglecting the spirit or spirits, and you're breaking the oath or the contract or the tatal that you made between that spirit or spirits and yourself. And by you in doing that, there's repercussions that come from that. And that's if you really have spirituality in those receptacles or items or whatever you have. You understand? So you have to be very careful what you decide to do, what you decide not to do when you make a treaty, a pact, an oath. There are differences in them, but you have to watch it. You know, I'm an ngangulero for life. Whether I practice it or don't practice it, that's what I am. I made a pact and I made a treaty for life. And there's nothing that I could do that's gonna take away from me that agreement, that oath, those treaties that I made between the living and between the spirit or the spiritual. So, you know, if I was you, I would try to, because I don't know what's going on. You know, I don't know what happened. What was the disconnect? So I would try to find a way to speak to your elders. Give me 1 second. Once again, I'm working, guys. You gotta bear with me. If it's not a big deal, you understand, nothing, no falta de respeto, you know, nothing, and you know, to an extreme that it was done to you or you saw or whatever, I would try to speak to the elder and have a sit down with her or him and fix things, you know, kind of, you know, iron things out. If it ain't that deep, why take it to those extremes? You understand? You know, sometimes, you know, we as human beings, we get a little too emotional, and that's not a good look most of the times, because emotions clear your judge. It clears your it doesn't see you. You don't judge right. You understand? You don't judge right. You don't reason. You got your mind is full of clouds. It clouds your mind. And you make the wrong judgment, the wrong calls, and then you make the wrong moves. And just like in life, right, when we have any situation with a family member or something, depending of what happened, right? If it ain't so deep, a couple of months might go by, whatever, and you guys come back together again and you squash that. You understand? Because in these traditions, we look at our houses, right? Houses of whatever tradition you're in as family. You know? Because at the end of the day, we all, humanity is family. Whether people want to accept it or not accept it, that's upon them. Whether there's prejudice or Jesus, Cracker Jacks. Or, yeah, whether it's prejudice, just keep it whether it's prejudice. That's another thing. You understand? But we always have to understand that we are all people. We all bleed the same. We all eat. We all use a toilet. We all do the majority of the time the same crap. Maybe we might season our foods differently, but we still eating. We might talk another language, but we're still talking. We're still throwing out vibrations to communicate. At the end of the day, those vibrations in the spiritual realm are understood in all languages. That's why there's no such thing as language. There's no barriers in the spiritual realm as far as understanding a language, because that doesn't work like that in that side. For me, I have certain stipulations, certain do's and don'ts, right? In my enso, in my muranzo, and my rama also. The treaties within the living and the treaties they have to do between the dead, the muertos, the spirits. And there are things that I cannot break. There are treaties that if I break could cost me a lot. Even my own existence. So with this I say that there are some treaties that are very deep, some treaties that are a little more slacked. It all depends on what house you come from and what type of tratado and juramento or whatever it is. You understand? I can't speak for all the traditions. I only can speak for the one that I'm in and the way my house does it, my Rama does it, you know, or understands it for what I have understanding of that they do. If you are buey suelto, if you had a disagreement with your godfather and godmother that cannot be fixed or rectified because it was a big it was something that you don't tolerate, that's a different story. You understand? And it's upon you to do whatever you want to do from there on, whether keep seeking, whether looking for another place. But always remember that place that you got initiated at, those elders, they do not stop being your elders. They are always going to be your elders for life. You might have somebody that might take you in, and that's your elder also, right? Because they accepted you in their house. But that doesn't mean that those elders where you first got your things from or where you coming from, they stop being your elders. They're still your elders. You might just not be communicating with them anymore. There are different circumstances, different reasons, and different things. You know, I don't want to come here and put things, you know, in people's minds or words that I don't want to say and stuff like that. So, you know, just, you can email me, you know. If you're watching, email me, w3quin1973@gmail.com. I could try my best to give you some guidance, and including if it has to do even with your elders. You understand? Because I'm of the understanding that there are things that are not that deep, and they could be squashed and fixed and bring that harmony back with those elders. You know, I'm not that one that likes to be, even though I have had to because I don't know if it was luck or my destiny or what it was that I was getting messed up here and there and everywhere. Understand? So that happened to me because I know. But other than that, you know, my email address is w3qin1973@gmail.com. w3qin1973@gmail.com. If you need any counseling, no, I'm just joking. Any they want to speak to somebody, I'm not here for the gossip. I'm here to see how can you get back on your feet. If there's a way you can rectify it with your elders, that type of advice. Not for the drama, not for the bochinches. I'm not about that. Not for the gossip, in other words. Be safe. Have a great day. I hope you guys understood what I said. I know there's a little gibberish in there, but you know how I am. I'm un poquito loco. Cuckoo. Be safe, guys. Peace.